Hi, friends. Welcome back to the no intro music version of Live at the Roxy. On the Sunday, what do we do on Sunday is we talk about television. What have we been talking about mostly recently? The Last of Us, obviously, because The Last of Us airs on Sundays. I think this was one of the greatest episodes ever. Not just in The Last of Us, but maybe my favorite episode of TV this year. So we will be talking about that, but we're also going to be talking about television in general, what you guys are watching, what I'm watching. We haven't been able to talk about the Andor finale yet because it aired after last week. Did we talk about it? Didn't it air last week? You guys tell me. Pretty sure we haven't talked about it yet. And I went to an unbelievable event that I want to tell you guys about. I posted some pictures of it, but I went to the shrinking. I did a set visit for shrinking. So I got to meet and talk to and ask questions to Harrison Ford, Jason Segel, Brett Goldstein, Jessica Williams, Krista Miller, Ted McGinley. It was insane. I also watched an hour panel discussion and just have so much to tell you guys about that. It was an FYC event for your consideration. I'll tell you guys all about what's going on in Hollywood with that right now. And then also other shows, Hacks, of course, more Shark Tank. Always can't help myself. It's just the greatest. And whatever else it is that you guys are watching. I also am caught up on Your Friends and Neighbors, which is the John Hamm show that's on Apple that I absolutely am loving. Of course, The Studio. Looking at my list right now. Mobland, duh, loving it. And some other things. So we'll be talking all different television tonight. And when we are talking about The Last of Us, we will give spoilers, but we will not give spoilers until we get to The Last of Us point of the conversation. So wait for that. For you guys who are new here, or those of you who just like a reminder, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. That is how you can support this channel. And me, I'm trying to go live every Sunday and Wednesdays. Wednesdays, we do more of a entertainment news, world news, my personal news, your personal news show. Sundays, we really focus on TV, the best and the worst of the week. I only say the worst of the week, which I really don't focus on, but because sometimes you guys send in something that you watched that was so bad that I like to hear about. So that's what I want to know about. Anyway, send in that support. Really appreciate it. The only reason I'm able to continue doing the show is because the support comes in through the Streamlabs. Speaking of which, today is May 18th. It is my brother's birthday. Happy birthday to my brother, the guy who I used to watch television with as a kid and still do sometimes when we hang out together. And I say that because I'm looking at May 18th in Streamlabs right now. So streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, RQMDSMD says, "Hi, Roxy. Not going to make live show tonight. Just sending in some early support for Sunday TV Talk. Hope all is well." Thank you for that. I really appreciate when you guys, even if you're not able to make the show, if you still want to shout out or you still want to give support, feel free to send it at any time and I'll always read it in the closest show in which you sent your support. So that one came in this morning and I was able to read it now. Big shout out to, or at 3 p.m. Is that the morning? No, it is not. Big shout out to RQMDSMD and to everybody else who continues to send it in. Thank you. Thank you. A lot of stuff going on in the chat right now that I'm a little confused about. Points for comments, something about something purple, something about a crown. Do I look weird? Is there a crown or something purple on me? What's happening? What are you guys seeing? Let me know. Just curious. What is good? Do you guys want, I'm going to ask you, do you want me to start by talking about The Last of Us and then let you guys know when the spoilers are done? Or do you want me to start talking about the shrinking event? I'm going to talk about both, but what would you prefer? If you want The Last of Us first in the chat, write Last of Us. If you want shrinking first, write shrinking. You have crowns next to our names. Oh, I can't see those, Mel, because I'm on the StreamYard backend. I don't see any crowns. Who has crowns next to their names? Everybody? Do I have a crown? Am I a queen? Let me know. This is my crown. Trying to make it cute. Like little prongs on the. This is my crown. What a sick crown. Love it. Thank you, Sam, for explaining, Roxy. You look fine. The live chat just looks different since YouTube added new features. Let's test them out. Let's see how they go. Sam doesn't have a crown. Oh my God. Select people have crowns. I didn't select the people. I'm not saying you said I did, but how'd you get a crown? Who the crown people be? You get a crown. You get a crown. You don't get a crown. It's like Oprah stopped handing them out. Don't know what happened. Dragon wants a crown. I want a crown too. 7 bunnies. We have our own crowns. Seems to me like the chat would prefer me to talk about The Last of Us first. So I'm going to talk about The Last of Us, but I do recommend you sticking around to the shrinking conversation because I am going to talk about some of the things that Harrison Ford said, not just about shrinking, but just in general. Some funny bits, and we're going to be putting more out on Real Rejects, but you'll hear it here first. I also want to tell you guys how I got involved with shrinking and why I got invited to it, which is really cool and in part to you. So let's start by talking about The Last of Us. When I'm done with The Last of Us spoilers, I will go like this frantically so that you guys know you can come back if you haven't watched the episode yet. We are talking about The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 6, the episode that aired tonight. So again, mute us. And when I'm like this, we'll be done. I'll be honest with you guys, though. Our Last of Us conversations typically last like 35 minutes. So it's going to be a little while before you can come back. But check back in, and I'll go like that. So that you can unmute us. Hopefully that is helpful. Oh, Dragon, you got a crown somehow. How'd you do it? Did you go like this? Did this give me a crown? It's reminding me of Apple, how like on Apple, if you say to somebody, if you're FaceTiming and you go thumbs up and then all of a sudden the thumb happens, or if you do this and then like hearts or some shit goes down. Is that what it's like? Still a couple more minutes before we're starting the Last of Us conversation as people are rolling through. So make sure you're sending in your Streamlabs if you have questions, comments, concerns about The Last of Us, or also if you had a show you watched this week and you loved, if you have recommendations for me, if you have a show you didn't like so much and you're like, people stay away from this. If you want to talk about The Last of Us, if you want to talk about Andor, if you want to talk about hacks, if you want to talk about the shrinking event that I went to, if you want to know how Harrison Ford is, whatever it is, Streamlabs in. Appreciate your support. Imprinted on Roxy says in the Streamlabs, Team Stryer, you're smart and have great posture and cute to boot. Okay, Lloyd, we all know I have horrible posture. However, I have been working on it like crazy. So every day I'm doing different, I have a shirt on. You guys can't see it, but I do. Every day I'm doing different posture exercise right now. And I'm also doing a lot of upper body workouts so that I can really try to strengthen and work on my posture. So I do feel like my little hump is slowly but surely going away. I'm working on it. I do these things. I do these things. I do these things. I'm doing so many things to try to pull myself back and down. And I think it's slightly working. Also, when I'm driving in the car, I'm now making sure my head is back all the way. So instead of like this, so that's some of the stuff that I'm doing. But thank you for commenting on my posture. Mike Joyce in the house says, look like we get crowns for super chat / comments now. So the more you comment, the more crowns you get. We have some researching to do. How does this work? Reminder, crowns or not, I much prefer Streamlabs to Super Chats because, of course, YouTube takes about 50% of your money if you send in Super Chats, although I appreciate whatever way you're able to give. But if you can, switch over to Streamlabs, streamlabs.com / Roxy Stryer, because crowns are cool, but being able to support the creator is cooler. So that. Someone send Rox a screenshot of the crowns. Wait, let me just pull it up on my phone. Let me see if let me go to the YouTube app and see. I'm gonna watch my own show. That is crazy of me to watch. I'm gonna watch my own show. I am that conceited. And this is how much I'm a creature of habit. Instead of typing my own name, I just typed in Real Rejects and saw Greg's bawling face. Somebody just watched The Last of Us episode. Okay, I am live. I am looking, and oh, okay. It's like a purple. So Dragon, next to you, it says crown number 1. Next to Anna Yan, it says crown number 2. Next to Steve Cauldron is crown number 3. So, like, you're the third place in how many crowns you get, or why does one get crowns? And can there only be 3 crowns at once? Wow, Dragon, you are the number one crown girl. I don't know what it means, but it's rad. Go on with your bad crown self. Okay, crown queen. I need a crown queen. I'm holding out for a crown on the super chats, and it's gotta be purple, and it's gotta have a hashtag, and it's gotta be number 1, 2, or 3. I need a crown queen. Literally no idea. Okay. Now that we have welcomed you guys in and told you guys about the Streamlabs, the super chats, and told you guys that we're going to be talking about shrinking and a lot of television later, let's get into the Last of Us discussion. This is the time to leave. If you have not watched The Last of Us yet, thank you, Sam. It was a very nice parody. I agree. Really good. Really, really clever. If you have not watched The Last of Us yet, head out until I go like this. I would say in a little over a half an hour, probably, so that you can come back and hear the rest of the conversation, because we have to talk about The Last of Us. I thought this was one of the best episodes of television I've seen in a very long time. And so we're going to get into it with spoilers. Reminder for the chat, here's the rule with spoilers. You are allowed to spoil anything that happened in tonight's episode of The Last of Us. Here's what you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to be a gamer who comes in here and spoils what happens in the future of The Last of Us, because you know from the games. If you do that, you will be banned from the channel forever, forever, forever. And also, you'll just be on our shit list. And you don't want to be on that many people's shit list, because karma, baby. So do not spoil future things. Only spoil up to what has happened till now if you've seen it. Okay? There we go. Here we go. Jumping in to The Last of Us spoiler discussion on season 2, episode 6 in 3, 2, 1. My dudes, I cannot wait until you guys are able to watch my reaction on The Real Rejects, which is going to be tomorrow. So for those of you guys who don't know, Real Rejects is doing 2 different reactions for The Last of Us. We do a reaction on Sunday nights with the gamers, which is Aaron, Andrew, and Greg. And they break down every in-depth, full gamer reaction, what's coming and what's not. On Monday mornings, me, Tara, and John do a non-gamer reaction. And this is the single thing that I have filmed for Real Rejects that has fucked me up the most, was tonight's episode. I could not pull myself together. If you guys watch my Real Rejects reactions, you know that I am not much of a I emote, of course, but I'm not much of a crier from movies. They just don't usually hit me in the same way. And there was something about this fucking episode that ripped me to shreds. And we're going to talk about it tonight. I think I had a lot of personal there was a lot of connection and a lot that I could relate to in this. I think that for anybody who, again, remember full spoilers, anybody who has a dead parent, and I understand that a lot of people do not believe that Joel is Ellie's parent, but for all intents and purposes, to me, Joel is the closest thing to a parent that Ellie has. And so, as a person who is a part of the DPC, the Dead Parents Club, when somebody passes, you spend so much time reliving your final moments with them and so much time thinking about things that you can no longer speak about and trying to grapple with things. So I'll talk about that towards the end of my discussion on this, but just this episode was so hit home for me, was so difficult to watch, was so beautifully done. And I'm starting to question, you guys know, I said, I don't know that killing off Joel was the right choice for the show. I know what happened in the game, but I just don't know that it was the right choice to make the best show. And this episode made me feel like that may be true and it may not be true. The reason it may be true is because this is the best episode of the season and it's another Joel and Ellie episode. And so clearly they are the heart of the show. There's no amount of time that will ever convince me that this show is not a Joel and Ellie show. Even if he's gone, even if he's dead, the show is Joel and Ellie. That is what this show is. So even if we pivot to Abby being the person we're focused on, or Dina being the person we're focused on, or Tommy, and all characters that are really intriguing, this will never not be a Joel and Ellie show. It's not an Ellie and Dina show, even though I love Dina. It's not an Ellie only show. It is a Joel and Ellie show and always will be. So this was a really interesting moment because this made me feel even more confirmed in that. And I felt like, holy crap, this is the heart of the show. But would we have been able to have these powerful moments if he was still here? So it's just a lot percolating. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are having similar thoughts to me, or maybe you're having completely different thoughts. And then I would like to hear about those. So make sure you Streamlabs in, super chat in, write in the chat. How are you feeling? We're going to break down the episode from beginning to end. So here we go, diving in. We know last week we leave off with, hey, kiddo, hi. So we have to assume this week is going to be a flashback episode. Although, if you're not a gamer, you don't actually know. Is it going to be a flashback? Is it more of a dream sequence? We know that Ellie has just gone in and gone scorched earth on Nora. So what is this going to be? What are we about to watch? Is it like from her point of view, is this how she felt things went, whatever. So I was really excited when we actually got this flashback episode, and the entire episode is the two of them, and it spans over the 5-year period that we hadn't got to see, so that we know, was Ellie always pissed at Joel? Was this tumultuous from the day that we left the Fireflies? Or after Park City, was this a slow burn? Did she actually know? We know that she admits to Nora this past week when Nora says this is what Joel did. Ellie says, I know. But what does that mean? Does she know? Did she hear it from him, or does she know? So this kind of filled in a lot of the blanks. But I thought, even for a flashback episode, it's brilliant that we start the flashback with a flashback. So we are starting because this is all about generational trauma. This is all about doing better than your parents, which is a huge theme of life and this show. So we don't just start with the Joel and Ellie flashback. We start with the Joel, Tommy, and their dad flashback, which I was not expecting and was a cool curveball. The whole point of this flashback is when Joel says to his dad, you are not going to hurt him about Tommy, because clearly his dad has been not has done hurtful things in the past, harmful things in the past. And his dad gives this unbelievable speech about his own dad. So we're going back in time. And the whole point of it is, I hope you do a little better than me when you have a kid. That is what our parents tend to hope for us, right? None of them are perfect. It's all of their first times being parents. It's their first time being alive. I don't mean first time being parent like you couldn't have had siblings. I just mean we've lived this one life and we all give it the best that we got, or a lot of us try as hard as we can. And do we do it perfectly? No, we don't. But you try to do it better than the people before you. You do your very best to do that. And that message really resonates with me. I luckily did have wonderful parents, but did they make tons of mistakes? Of course they did. Of course. And you just hope to take the good, leave the bad, learn the best you can. And I loved hearing this conversation. I hope you can do a little better than me. But filling in the blanks, we have to think about Joel's actual daughter. I don't mean actual like Ellie's not his actual daughter, because I do look at her that way, but I mean his biological daughter. He feels he let her down, of course. I'm not saying he did let her down. Circumstances were out of his control, but does he feel he let her down? Yes, he does. She's no longer with us. And so that weighs on him every day. And so now he looks at Ellie as his chance to do better than his father did. And in this episode, we see many times in which he's struggling to be the best version of himself, the best father that he can be. And that was very powerful to watch. So it starts with him. Now we're done with the flashback, which I was like, okay, are we going to go back to that? And it's just the only relevance is, I hope you do a little better than me, which the episode comes full circle. We use that again. Mwah, brilliant, chef's kiss. We then go fast forward to current flashback time. And this time is Seth and Joel negotiating over Legos and the guitar situation. This was really cool. I like to see Joel talking to Seth, because also we know that Seth is a flawed character, and we see that in a few episodes ago, and we also see it later in this episode when Seth steps to Dina and Ellie at the dance. This is a family event, and Joel decks him, shoves him, and then we get the apology from Seth in the next episode, and he actually helps Ellie on the mission to find Abby and to avenge Joel. So there's a lot of gray characters here. Seth is definitely one of them. Watching Seth and Joel's relationship is interesting to see this far back. They've got this exchange, and we also hear that Seth was a cop. And how wild in this world to go from being a cop to being a bartender, and the lack of power you must feel after having one of those jobs that is, for the most part, exempt from uh, getting in trouble or doing the wrong thing. You are protected by the system in a lot of ways. And now you are living in an apocalyptic time where you are serving drinks to people and bartering for Legos for your grandkids. Gives us just a little bit into Seth's psyche about what is going on with this dude. Just what a crazy life transition that would be. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Send in your super chats. I want to know your guys' thoughts on this episode as we continue to go through it. Okay. So then we see the making of this guitar. We see the moth that Joel puts on it. I think we know that Ellie is super into this. You start to wonder why, which comes up later. And then we get the Ellie drugged out scene. Very funny. Bella Ramsey does an excellent job here. And this is where I start to wonder what is happening. So in this scene, we've got Joel, we've got Tommy, and we've got Ellie. Ellie has burnt herself on top of her bite mark. So she has the bite mark. This is her 15th birthday that we are going to be dealing with, or coming up to. She's got the bite mark, and she burns herself on top of it. And in a room with Tommy, Ellie says, "No one saw. I was on my own. I just really wanted to wear short sleeves again." She says that in front of Tommy. Now, either Tommy chalks that up to, "Girl, Ellie, you are loopy. You on them drugs. You on them painkillers. You just, that didn't make any sense." Or Tommy knows everything. Tommy knows that Ellie is immune. Tommy knows what Joel did. Tommy is filled in on all of the things, because we know that Tommy already knows, based on Joel, that Ellie is immune to the bites. But the way that she says this makes me think, because she's talking about it so casually, right? Like, we know that he already has some knowledge. But the way he just, like, so casually drops it in front of him and they kind of look at each other, and she's kind of being loosey-goosey, loose-lipped about it, it makes me think, and I could be wrong, that Tommy knows what Joel did when he killed Marlene and all of the Fireflies, and what he did to get her out. Because he's been out here telling Ellie multiple people are immune. Tommy would know that that's not the case. And I think that the reason that they're putting this moment in here is to remind us that Tommy knows a lot. And while Ellie is really struggling to come to grips with what Joel has done in this episode, I think that Tommy eventually is going to be able to help Ellie understand why Joel did what he did, because I think he's aware of it. I could be wrong. The entire knowledge base could stop at Tommy knowing that Ellie can get bit and live. But I kind of have a feeling that Joel probably told him more. That's his brother. And we even hear from Tommy earlier in a couple episodes ago. Tommy says, "That's my brother," to Ellie. "Don't you think I know my brother? I know my brother. Don't tell me about my brother." So I think that Ellie's going to be able to really lean on Tommy at some point to try to work through the feelings she's having with Joel, because I think that she's the one person who she doesn't have to hide anything from, and that will be able to explain from Joel's perspective. And if you don't know what I'm talking about is later on in this episode, which we will get to, but is the line where Ellie says out loud, "I don't think I can ever forgive you for this, but I want to try." And when you are attempting to forgive somebody who is no longer alive, the only for a lot of people, the way to work through forgiving somebody is to ask a ton of questions, follow-ups, understand their rationale, see where they're coming from, get them to explain themselves. And that's stripped from Ellie because Joel dies before she gets the chance to actually forgive him. And so I think Tommy is aware of Joel's psyche. I think he's aware of exactly what happened with the Fireflies and Marlene. And I think that Ellie will be able to get the answers she needs, even though she already got answers from Joel at the end of this episode, right? She knows what he did. But she's going to have a lot of follow-up questions and feelings on this as she's trying to forgive somebody who's dead. And I think that Tommy's going to be able to help with that. It's just my theory on why we are continuing to show Tommy is aware of things. Okay, so we get to the 15th birthday, and we play Future Days on the guitar again. This goes down to my deep dive of last week, where I was like, this is a Pearl Jam song that doesn't come out until 2013. Why are we keeping this in the show when we know that the pandemic or the apocalypse happened in 2003? Is Pearl Jam still around? Why are we keeping this song? I bet it's going to be relevant. And then immediately this week, we hear the song again. So I have to assume, and if you want my full lyric breakdown, go back to the previous episode and you will see me really deep diving into all of the lyrics of this Pearl Jam song and why I think that this Pearl Jam song is so reflective of the relationship of Joel and Ellie and what the show is trying to do. So in this episode, it just confirmed for me that I'm on to something because we hear him play it again, and not just a tiny bit. We hear him play a lot of the song and sing it. So that was kind of cool to see. And then he says, he ends it and says to Ellie, I understand your arm. I understand. Ellie's out here probably feeling batshit crazy. She's burnt herself. She's burnt her skin to the point that it smelled like pork. And nobody knows what she's going through, and she can't tell anybody. She can only talk to Joel because at this point, he's the only one who could understand. A little bit Tommy, but it's Joel. And for him to say he understands, it just shows us where they are when she is 15. They are in lockstep together. They are Joel and Ellie. They are doing well. They understand each other. He worked his butt off to get her this cake. He gets why she burnt herself. He gets her this guitar. He plays her their song. She eats it with her hands. This is quintessential Joel and Ellie. Fast forward a year. We get to the 16th birthday. We start to see Joel not fully understand Ellie, even though he loves her and is trying. What do I mean by that? We just went from, I understand your arm, I understand, to Joel saying, so are you into Jesse? Because I see the way you look at him, and I know these things. Okay, so Ellie's very clearly a lesbian, and Joel is super off on this. So he goes from I understand to thinking he understands and not fully seeing her. So we're starting to see a little bit of a divide, but there's still Joel and Ellie. He still gets her a gangbusters present between the dinosaur and the Wyoming Museum of Science and History. This is the greatest birthday gift that a girl could ever ask for. I mean, honestly, it's like watching this was so incredibly moving. It also reminds me of the fact that this young woman never had a childhood. She had no childhood. We see her run up a dinosaur. What adult do you know? And I know she's 16, not an adult, but I don't even know any 16-year-olds that would run up a dinosaur like that. She's acting like she's 8 because she didn't get to be 8 because of this world that they live in. And then when she goes to go into the rocket ship, he's like, put on a costume. You know, you gotta put on your helmet. It's so endearing watching her get to be a little kid. Because what 16-year-old do you know in this world right now who would go and put a helmet on to sit in there? Like 16 is when you start to be like, F you, parents. I don't want to play pretend anymore. I mean, you're not into playing games and, running up dinosaurs. You're into other stuff like being pissy to your parents and being a teenager. But here, because she's never gotten to feel at ease and relax and just be, we're watching this beautiful side of their relationship where he gets to be the dad and she gets to be the kid. And it's just unbelievable what he did for her. Next leveling this birthday, getting the cassette and having her use her imagination like a child. And it's just so beautiful. This was the greatest scene. And my heart starts to race during it because I know where we're headed. We all know where this goes. And the second you see something good happen in this universe, we're fucked. Something so bad is going to follow that. So I'm watching this, and on one hand, I'm feeling so much joy. And like, this is the greatest scene ever and the greatest moment. And I love them. And then I feel like agony in my chest, knowing that this is going to be ripped from us, ripped from her, and that something bad is about to happen. And I don't even know the extent of it. So this was unbelievable, unbelievable 16th birthday. And just the scene was perfect. To close out the scene, which I didn't realize at the time when I watched this episode, and it wasn't until I watched this episode once for Real Rejects, and I came home, watched it again. So I got to see the episode twice, because when I talk about it to you guys, I like to be able to talk about seeing it twice. Sometimes I catch things I missed. And when I first watched it, I remember thinking, why she's leaving this? And she looks over and we see her look at something. She's very concerned, and it's a bunch of fireflies. And I was like, that's so weird that they like stood on that. And then watching it again, I was like, it's fireflies. She's looking at fireflies and she's thinking about it. This is when we see the seeds start to grow in her mind of what the fuck happened with the fireflies. What happened? What was that about? Here we are having the time of our lives, but the fireflies and what happened. And I can't pretend. So that's what that was about. What a beautiful moment. And I can't believe I missed that the first time, but it happens. I'm thinking about so many things when I'm watching the show, and it's so emotional that sometimes I miss plot points because I'm so moved that it's hard to pick up everything one time around it. And the second viewing is always even better for me. I'm loving, loving, loving the show. Let's go into the Streamlabs before we go to the next part. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. In the Streamlabs, Mr. N Fanatic, just Mr. N Fanatic this time. You need to be running point. If not, while time watching it, you and Kate Hudson could to be on Running Point. I love that show. If not, all time watching it, you and Kate Hudson could be sisters on that show with your basketball knowledge. It'd be so sick. I loved that show, and I love Kate Hudson, so that would be a dream. Hudsonizer in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/RoxyStryer says, hi, it's been a while. Thank you for being here. I have so much TV I need to catch up on that I have a little bit of a break. I haven't even started Andor season 1. Whoa, get on it. What shows would you recommend? I like sci-fi and fantasy mainly. Well, I feel like this is a sci-fi show. I would definitely recommend The Last of Us. I absolutely love it. Even when I hate it, I love it, which is such a weird feeling. In terms of the last couple of years, if you're behind, my favorite sci-fi shows are Severance, Silo. I really liked Dark Matter. Fantasy, I don't watch as much of. Black Mirror. All of those, I would say, is kind of sci-fi fantasy, more sci-fi. What are some fantasy shows that you guys are watching that we can recommend? Let Hudsonizer know. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Let's continue the chat on The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 6. Chime in. Let me know your thoughts in the chat, in the Streamlabs, and in the Super Chat. Here we go. 16th birthday 16th birthday finishes. 17th birthday rolls around. Now we're seeing a much larger divide. Joel walks in on Ellie with a girl and a tattoo, and he refers to what she was doing as experimenting. And we get a line from Ellie that I'm sure rings true to every young queer person who has ever been questioned ever, which is it wasn't a fucking experiment. Now, this is the first time that we're really seeing Joel in this light. We've seen him in the lights that we didn't like before, of course. He's done some very wild things, some things that people would even describe as evil. But in this moment, we're seeing him as a dad who could be very much in 2025. This has nothing to do with a cure or an apocalypse or with the cordyceps or anything to do with anything of this world. This is very much an issue in our world. You are experimenting. He thought she was into Jesse. He's annoyed that she's doing drugs. This is very classic teenager dad scenario. And you're watching it thinking, what are Joel's thoughts on queer people? A question I've never asked myself because you're dealing with the craziest monsters of all time. And what we had seen was Joel knock out Seth for stepping to Ellie and Dina for their kiss. So I hadn't questioned what are Joel's thoughts on this. When she says it wasn't a fucking experiment, I like almost fist pumped, man, because that's the line. How sick and tired is every single young queer person who gets questioned like, are you sure this isn't a phase? You were just experimenting. I'm not a science exam. It's not a lab. Experimenting. It wasn't a fucking experiment. This is who she is. He's like, I'll talk to you when you're more yourself in the morning, thinking that it's because of the drugs or whatever. And I just loved her response because Ellie is growing into quite a strong woman. And it wasn't a fucking experiment. And just think that that line should be put on posters and a shirt. She wants to move the mattress out. Then we get a little bit of this moth conversation, and it is a moment of peace, kind of, but it is further showing he no longer understands her. He accuses her of experimenting. He was shocked to find her getting a tattoo. He doesn't understand the moth thing. They just are no longer on the same page, and this secret has created such a wedge in their relationship that they are no longer the same Joel and Ellie that we know from all of season 1 or even that we saw in the beginning of this flashback. So it's a slow transition into we are not on the same page. We're just not anymore. It goes even further when Joel goes to ask Gale about a moth means change and growth, right? And she's like, no, you dipshit. She doesn't say that, but she kind of implies it. That would be a butterfly. A moth means death if you believe that shit. Why would you think a moth meant change and growth? Moths eat things. They murder our clothes. No. We get to the 19th birthday. And here Ellie is thinking about Salt Lake City. And she's got questions. And she's written them down because she's smart and she has had years to think about this. And they're landing with her and she's realizing she's known something all along that she's been afraid to admit and she needs answers. Number 1, if a firefly spotted us a mile from the hospital, how did they get surprised by an entire group of raiders? Sitting there thinking about that. They knew we were coming. How did they not know all these raiders were coming? Nobody's watching anymore? Makes no sense. If the raiders could kill all the soldiers and you had to carry me, how did we get away? They killed all the soldiers. They killed Marlene, but you carrying me were able to survive. How? Make it make sense. And then the last one is, if there are dozens of immune people, why hasn't anyone heard of, and then she gets cut off. But I think why has nobody heard about that or a cure or about being immune, right? Which this show continues to say she is the only immune person, which I don't know is true. And none of them could know that, right? My understanding, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that Ellie is immune because while she was still attached to her mother who got bit and before the umbilical cord was cut, it's almost as if it was like the science behind a vaccine where like you're giving a little bit of it to her so she's immune to it. That's my understanding of why we saw that birth scene and why Ellie is immune. You have to think it's possible that that happened to somebody else. I'm just not sure that we know for sure she's the only immune person. So I am curious if that ever comes back into play or if we're just having to assume that she is the only immune one and she's the only one who could ever possibly be immune. But anyway, that's we go to the 19th birthday now. And I'm curious about that too. We skip the 18th birthday. We go 15, 16, 17, 2 years later, 19. Huh. Skip the 18th birthday. Did we see that in season 1? Did we see her 18th birthday? Or why did we skip the 18th birthday? And are we going to come back to that at another point? I didn't even realize when I was watching it the first time. I was like, oh, we did every year, but we didn't. It's 2 years later. So if it happened in season 1, remind me, did we already see her 18th birthday? Is that why we skipped it? Streamlabs.com/Roxy Strider, super chatting, questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, anything you want read out loud. Let out loud. You know that my brain's firing on all cylinders. Okay, so we get to the 19th birthday, and here's what happens. She's thinking about all these still. She's got all these questions. We just went over them. She's written it down. We think she's going to confront Joel about something, about this. But then he comes to her door, and he's like, we're doing our first patrol. She's been waiting for this moment. It's the birthday present of a lifetime for her. She wants to do the patrol. They go out on this patrol, and Eugene, he's been bit. That is Catherine O'Hara's husband. And we know that Joel kills him because we know that Catherine O'Hara hates Joel because Gail hates Joel because he killed her husband. And we heard that and we all kind of wondered, like, what does she mean by that? Those of us who didn't see the game in the therapy session. So now we know exactly what we're about to see, but we don't know how we're going to see it. So it's interesting because Joel immediately wants to kill Eugene, but Ellie makes Eugene hold out his hand, do the count, and she's like, we have time. I'm sitting there just wondering nonstop, why haven't we walkied? Like, if we can't see them, you already got the walkie call about this. You got the walkie that you needed to go help because there had been an issue. Why can't we walkie Catherine Gale? If we can't see her and he wants to know her last words, why can't we walkie her? Why do we have to walk to her? Why can't we walkie her? But okay, I guess we, for some reason, can't. So this is such an interesting parallel with what happened in Salt Lake because Joel clearly doesn't want to do it Ellie's way. Joel wants to do it Joel's way and keep everybody that he loves safe. So Joel says to Ellie, you go get the horses and whatever, and I'm going to bring him back to Gail. I promise. Ding, 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 ding. What is the last time he looked at her and said, I promise? They're walking away from Salt Lake City. They're standing outside. And she's like, promise me what happened in there in Salt Lake is exactly what you told me it was. He says, I promise. So she hears these words and we just see it on her face immediately. All the questions she wrote down, all the things she's been wondering, she knows the answer. She knows. She knows he lied. She doesn't know all the details, but she knows he lied. Yeah, swear to me. Swear to me. And here, I swear, and now I promise. Lies. Lies on lies. So, and before we get to that, I did want to say, I thought that this was such an interesting concept because we do always hear when somebody's like, okay, what is in these apocalypse shows, and the zombie shows, and the vampire shows, and all these supernatural shows, we always hear, give me the mess in war shows and movies. What message do you want to give to your loved ones, right? Like I will relay it to them. But what Eugene says, by the way, he's such a gangbusters actor, but what Eugene says is, last words for her, I need her last words for me. I'm dying. I'm terrified. I don't need a view. I need Gail to see her face. Please, please let that be the last thing I see. Oh my God. I mean, that was like the most gut-wrenching. Because we always think about like what we want to say to our loved one, but he just wanted to know. And think about also her being a therapist. She probably says really poignant, brilliant, beautiful things. And that's his wife, that's his person. He just wanted to hear. He's scared. He's scared. And he knows he's dying. Awful. I mean, that was such a well-written speech. That was such an unbelievable moment. I honestly wonder if he'll be nominated for guest star for an Emmy because of that. It was so spot on, fantastic. Excellent work. Then we get back, and I want to ask you guys about this. So Joel lies to Gail. Joel lies to Gail, and he says he was brave. He killed himself. He wanted you to know he loves you. And Ellie, who now feels like lying is never the better option, just says, the fuck he did. That was not what happened. Let me tell you what happened. And I think this is a fascinating moment because in a previous episode where we have Tommy go to Gail and they're watching the game, and Tommy goes to Gail, and Gail refers to Ellie as a liar. And Tommy's like, no, well, she lied, but she's not a liar. And Gail says, I know liars, agree to disagree, but she is a liar, which is fascinating because in this moment, Joel just lied to Gail, and Ellie, as horrible and painful as it is, she tells her the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So why does Gail believe that Ellie is a liar? Does she think she's lying about this? I don't think so. So it's just a weird moment that we saw her declare that Ellie is a liar. And is it possible that Gail's out here thinking that this isn't true and that Ellie did make this up? I don't know. Regardless of whether or not Gail should know what happened, the way Ellie did this was so disrespectful, in my opinion, because she was doing it for herself. She wasn't doing this for Gail. She didn't sit Gail down and say that Joel was trying to protect your feelings, but I want to tell you the truth of what happened to your husband. She blurts it out in such a way that how could Gail process this? And so now, fast forward to us seeing Gail hate Joel and Gail not want to be the only therapist in this community, and Gail just feels so broken all the time and drunk. How are we going to even judge Gail? I mean, Gail, I understand completely. It was horrible. It was horrible the way this came out. She was collateral damage after already receiving the worst news of her life. horrible. And you start to see how much an impact trying to do better than somebody or trying to not become like somebody can actually eat you up. Then we get what really is going on here. Ellie says, "You lied to me. You looked me in the eyes and you lied. Uh, I knew this whole time. So, okay, you lied to me. You looked me in the eyes and you lied." No, we're not there yet. That's later on the porch. Rox, keep up with your notes. Anyway, felt really bad for Gail. Next thing we see is the scene from a different perspective of the Ellie Dina kissing Seth scene. I like to watch what Joel was doing. It felt like we got a little closure with "See you next year," Joel and Tommy, even though that's like the least closure line ever. At least we got like a little positive goodbye. And Maria tells Joel that she's grateful for him. I needed those words. I needed that moment. So I was grateful for Maria. Then we get Ellie coming back from the dance, and we saw her walk by him. And immediately I know she's turning around, because why are they showing this again? We're going to get the conversation. We're going to get the talk. And I hear in the game, this doesn't happen the night before Joel dies. That's crazy because this was so impactful. It was just so impactful to have this happen the night before he dies. They have this porch scene, which is maybe the most iconic scene of any show this year. This scene was like, holy shit. This is what got me. This is what made me not be able to speak afterwards for 15 minutes, which you'll see on Real Rejects. I went mute. I was crying and I could not talk. So let's break down this scene. It's like honestly even difficult for me to break it down now. Just thinking about it, it feels heavy on my chest, and that is what great television does, but holy shit. Okay. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Send in support if you want me to continue doing Sunday shows where I break down television, whether it's The Last of Us or Andor or shows on Apple, HBO, all over the place. Keep sending in support so I can continue doing the Sunday show. All right. This porch scene. Let's talk about it. So first, they're kind of just talking, and Ellie's stating boundaries about what she doesn't want to be pulled off patrol. She doesn't want Joel to stick up for her to Seth. She's got it handled. He seems to understand. Then they're talking about Dina. He said, you do like her, though. And Ellie says, so stupid. And Joel says, I don't know what Dina's intentions are, but she'd be lucky to have you. And that's when Ellie she's about to go in. We know it. What does she say? You're such an asshole or something like that. Because this has been building up for years, even though not consciously for the first couple of years. Now she is just ready and she needs her fucking answers, and she cannot wait another minute. You lied to me. You looked me in the eyes and you lied. I knew this whole time, so I'm going to give you one last chance. Tell me what happens with the fireflies. If you lie to me again, we're done. And then she starts asking him questions, and the performances we get from these two actors with tears in their eyes, the most subtle, slow head nods and movements. It was, truly perfection. She says, were there other immune people? No. Were there raiders? No. Could they have made a cure? Yes. That one seemed to hit her the hardest. And then she says, did you? And the implication is murder everybody. And he says yes. And she says, and Marlene. And he says yes. Both of them. The chemistry, the back and forth, the timing of this, the edit. This was so fucking phenomenally done. He's barely moving. He's not like, he's just the smallest. He can barely bring himself to do it. But she said, I'm going to give you one last chance. If you lie to me again, we're done. And he's really hearing that. And at this point, he thinks he has his whole life to live. He says to her, making a cure would have killed you. And then she responds, Then I was supposed to die. That was my purpose. My life would have fucking mattered, but you took that from me. You took it from everyone. This is the main argument that people have about this show, about why Joel is evil, which is obviously not how I feel, even though I wish that I did feel that way. I understand choosing your loved ones over everyone else. I think that that's not the right thing to do, but I get it, and I think it's what I would do. When we hear her say that was my purpose, I was supposed to die, you're just thinking about the moth. You're thinking about everything that she feels that she is and how little choice she had. And in all fairness, I still think it's not talked about enough how little choice the Fireflies gave her, because I don't like that they didn't tell her what was going to happen. They should have asked her and gotten her permission, because she would have said yes. If they had said, we need to kill you in order to create this cure, she would have said yes, but they didn't. And so to me, that is what Joel was doing too. Both the Fireflies and Joel were taking the choice away from her. And as a pro-choice human, I feel that this was something that Ellie needed to decide. But Joel didn't allow her to do that, and the Fireflies didn't allow her to do that. So you took that from me. The choice you took from me. But then the next detail, you took it from everyone, as in like everyone's lives could have been saved. You selfish fuck. And I feel her in this. But his response is his response is the greatest response and perfectly describes how I would feel, even though it's not the right thing to do. I understand where he's coming from. He says, yes, and I'll pay the price because you're going to turn away from me. But if somehow I had a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again. Joel doesn't regret this for 1 second. I don't think he's been able to tell her, not only because he thinks he'll lose her, but because he's not sorry. He's not sorry. He did what he did, and he'd do it again. She says, because you're selfish. He said, because I love you in a way that you can't understand. Maybe you never will. But if that day should come, if you have one of your own, well, then I hope you do a little better than me. Which is how we start the episode, with his father. And the craziest thing about all of this is that now she is having one of her own. Her and Dina and Jesse are having a baby. And the cycle continues. And if this whole show is about doing better than the ones who come before you, then clearly Ellie being on this path of vengeance is not what Joel was hoping for her. But will she be able to be better than him? I don't know. So far, with what we saw with Nora, it's not looking likely. She says, I don't think I can forgive you for this, but I would like to try. And I'm glad she gave herself that gift of telling him, I would like to try. Because the memory of the last things you say to somebody will either haunt you or will put you at ease. And if you don't remember the last words you said to somebody, that goes under the put you at ease category. Because if the last thing you said to somebody is something horrible, you never forget that. So she didn't just say, I don't think I can forgive you for this, because living with those as her final words would be so hard. She said, but I would like to try. And that is a gift that she gives herself for the rest of time, that she said that to him. The next morning, we've seen what happened. He left earlier than her to go out and let her sleep. And we hear her give the speech where Ellie and Joel will be fine. Because whatever happened that night, her finally getting the answers she'd been looking for, she knew she was going to try to move forward with him, and that somehow, some way, they would be Joel and Ellie. But now, to go back to the Tommy conversation I was having earlier, now she has been stripped of that. She's been stripped of that healing process. She's been now asked to do that by herself because she can't do it with him because he's dead. And I think her having Tommy there, and I think him knowing a lot more than we even know that he knows, will help her be able to move forward. But this was, to me, the most perfect, beautiful, strong episode, and that porch scene will go down in history as one of the best scenes in any show. That conversation, again, if it doesn't connect with you or relate with you, then take it or leave it. But for me, as somebody who has had a really hard time forgiving people who are no longer here and has to deal with this by myself, I was just fucking losing my mind. It was so perfect. It was perfect. And she got the answers that she could in that moment. And that is why we hear when Nora tells her, this is what he did. He's this monster. And she says, I know. I know. And she got to hear it from his mouth. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Do you guys agree? Is this the best episode of the season so far? What did you think about it? What do you think about the second season in comparison to the first? We have another episode to come. Fingers crossed that it's gangbusters. We're a little worried about it. And send in your thoughts. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Support, thoughts, questions, comments, concerns. We are soon going to be talking about some other things I want to tell you guys about my experience on the shrinking set. So I will get to that soon. Mr. ND Fanatic said, what are some YouTubers you think should be on SNL? Nikki Howard and Steve Emerson need to do the show. In my opinion, their shirts are amazing on YouTube. Their shirts. I don't know them. Sorry. I don't know many YouTubers. I know that's crazy because here I am. But, there is one that I saw the other day that I went down a rabbit hole. I thought she was so funny. Can't think of her name right now, but she was amazing. When I think of it, I'll let you guys know. She was so, so great. And I was like, oh, this girl should be on SNL. She was in Sunday Company at Groundlings right now. Actually, that's probably how I'll find her. Hold on. Sunday. I think she's in Sunday Company. Groundlings current. Let me see if she was, or maybe she was just part of the Groundlings in general. Nope, none of these are her. Oh, is this her? Elise. Yeah, this is her. Eilise, Elise Patton. I watched her for like 2 hours the other day. She was so funny. I think that she should be on SNL. Look her up. Mike Joyce in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer said, but I would like to try. Oof, that moment really got me as well. Also, I'm glad they got Joe Pantoliano. I always mess up his name, Pantoliano, for this episode. He was so great. He's such a good actor. No one really talks about. I know. He was so, so great. That's why I said I think he should be nominated for guest because he was so powerful. David in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. David just sent support. Thank you so much, David, for that. I appreciate it so much. To shout out and cheers to the Streamlabsers and Super Chatters of the day. You guys are the reason I'm able to be here. So far, that's David, Mike Joyce, Mr. ND Fanatic, Hudsonizer, and printed on Roxy, RQMDSMD. You guys rock. Thank you. Appreciate you kindly. Keep sending in, keep supporting, get your crowns. I don't know how, but whatever that means. And let me tell you guys about what happened on Shrinking. So I'm going to officially end the spoiler portion of this discussion. If you want to see more on my thoughts, if you want to watch me watch the episode and miss some stuff that I didn't catch until my second viewing, but watch it. It will be tomorrow morning. Okay, here we go. Spoiler discussion done. Okay, Shrinking, guys. I went to, even if you don't watch Shrinking, this is still crazy cool because, and I do watch Shrinking, I love it. Let me just rewind for 1 second and tell you guys, which you know because you watch the show. I'm obsessed with Apple TV. You guys know I watch so many Apple shows. Like my obsession has been Apple TV for years now. And a lot of people always say like they don't watch Apple or they don't know as many shows there. Let's just go over some of the shows that I've watched on Apple that I have been obsessed with and talked to you guys about for years. Severance, Silo, Shrinking, Your Friends and Neighbors, The Studio, The Morning Show, Ted Lasso, Slow Horses, Dark Matter, Presumed Innocent, Bad Sisters, Sugar, We Crash, Bad Monkey, Mythic Quest, After Party, Masters of the Air, Platonic. Those are just some of the shows that I felt like were top shows that I raved about over the years. And so I have been making videos for 4 years about Apple on TikTok and on Instagram about how much I love their shows, how it is must-see TV for me, how it's one of the only streamers that I could not ever get rid of, and I love their content. Just love it. So one of the shows that I've been talking about since it was on was Shrinking. And I actually got to interview Krista Miller on Christian's show, and everybody knows that I love this show. And I make content about Apple and shrinking in general. And sometimes you put things out into the void and you just think that nobody will ever, whatever. But one of the videos I did must have done particularly well because this week I got reached out to by company putting on this event for Apple. And they were like, we see that you're a big fan of Shrinking because of your videos. And we would like to invite you to do a set visit and watch a panel and some other cool things for Shrinking. And I did something kind of ballsy because usually, like, I just kind of take what's given to me. I'm like, yes, but I knew that Greg is obsessed with Shrinking. I know Greg's obsessed with Shrinking. He talked about it on his podcast. We've talked about it in person, and I know he's obsessed with Harrison Ford. So I reached back out and was like, would love to do this if I can do it for, they had asked me to do it for my personal. I said, I'd love to do this if I can do this for Real Rejects and bring Greg Alba because he's also a diehard fan. Real Rejects has so many subscribers. We'll blow this out of the water for you guys. Can he come? And they said yes. So I was so stoked about that because it's so fun to go as buddies and like, you know, really get a lot of footage and content and all this stuff. But also it's cool to be able to give back because Greg has done so much for all of the rejects. And I knew that this would be a big deal for him. So he was so excited to go. So it was awesome to be able to be there with somebody who was just as excited to be there as I was. So what ended up happening was that we got there and there's like 150 people. And I didn't know much about the event. I was just told in this email what it was. So there's like 150 people. So Greg and I just get in line with 150 people. He's like, there's a lot of people. How are we all going to do this? And I was like, I really don't know, but whatever. I'm just happy to be here. They film on the Warner Brothers lot. It's always cool going on the lot. As somebody who's obsessed with Hollywood and this industry, and this is my dream. Any chance I get to go on the lot is just so fucking fun. So we end up waiting with all these people, and we're waiting for like quite a long time. And then all of a sudden I get a tap on the shoulder. And it's the person who emailed me, and she was like, are you Roxy and Greg? And we were like, yeah. And they're like, we've been waiting for you guys. So we were in the wrong area. We were with all these FYC people, who are the people that are the Emmys that vote for your consideration on this. We were supposed to be with the content creators, and there was only 8 of us that were invited to this. So they were like, come on. So we go over, we're like, oh, sorry. Oh my God. They missed it when we checked in. They didn't put us to the right place. So we go over with the content creators and they're like, okay, let's go. So immediately we're like hitting the ground running, meeting people. Everybody was awesome. So cool. And it was really cool because in the same way that they reached out to me because I'm a diehard fan, all the other creators were not like just casual influencer creators. They're diehard fans of Shrinking who have all made content on Shrinking. That's why they were invited. So it was a really cool small group of people. And we get to the set. We take this, what's it called? Golf cart, like long cart over to the set. And when we get there, the first thing that happens, we walk and before we're about to walk on set, it's the art director and costume I think it was art and costume. So anyway, we're asking them a couple questions about like color choices and whatever. And then they're like, okay, now you can go see the set. And I don't think any of us knew exactly what was going to go down. Greg opens the door and there's Harrison Ford. Greg opens the door and it is mother effing Harrison Ford. So it's Harrison Ford and Lukita. Lukita is who plays the daughter of Jason Segel's character on the show. Greg turned around to me and was like, it's Harrison Ford. He's literally this close to us. And he was like, welcome to my office. And it's his office on the show. And immediately we're like, oh. And one of the guys that we're with is like, so how's season 3 filming going? And we realized like we can just start asking him questions. So we do. And he's giving us unbelievable, thoughtful, cool, great answers. Let me see if I have. I definitely have pictures with him, but for some reason, I don't know if this uploaded. I'll show you guys on my phone. So we're talking to Lukita and Harrison. We asked them kind of like, I had asked them, you know, we learned so much watching the show. What do you guys learn from the show? And we're gonna drop the footage on Real Rejects, but they gave thoughtful answers, and Greg asked a follow-up question to my question, and just being able to be in the same room as Harrison Ford, not many people can say that. And I really started thinking, like, is he the fact that he's played, I don't think any one actor has played 2 characters as large as Harrison Ford has. I think he is the only actor on the planet who's ever had 2 of the most iconic roles of all time, with, of course, Han Solo and Indiana Jones. Is there any other actor who's had it to that level? Because he is one of the biggest actors of all time. No question asked. So just walking in, opening the door, and having it be Harrison Ford, that was like truly shocking. I mean, we were like shooketh over that. That was just so crazy. And exciting and fun and like, oh my God, I can't believe that we're in this room with an absolute hero. This is how close we were. This is not zoomed in. This is just us standing across the desk from them. And then this is me taking a picture of Greg asking them questions, and just a little bit more on Greg just like smiling and like being in awe of them just being super thoughtful with their answers and their time, which was really cool. And they had been filming a 12-hour day that day, and they were still doing this. So then we get to our next room, and it is Michael, Jason, and Brett, and they're all cheering for us. We walk in, and they're in like the best mood, and they're all just cheering and having the greatest time. And they shook our hands and introduced themselves to each of us. Jason immediately reached out his hand. He said, I'm Jason. I said, I'm Roxy. And then Brett was a little further. So he said, hi. And I said, I'm Roxy. He said, hi, Roxy. And then when I was leaving 10 minutes later, he said, bye, Roxy. I was like, oh my God. For those of you guys who don't know, I'm obsessed with almost every cast member here, but I love Brett Goldstein. I love his podcast. I loved him on Ted Lasso. I love his stand-up, and I love him in Shrinking. He's an amazing writer, an unbelievable creator. I just think that his career has been so phenomenal. And he's a Jew, which Go Tribe member. Loved. I love Jason Segel too. I loved everybody here. It was just so cool. Then we get to the next room, and that is where Jessica and Luke are. Being with Jessica was so crazy. Talk about people I'm diehard fans of. I used to watch Two Dope Queens or listen to the pod, and they had video of it. I think she is like just the most phenomenal, wonderful. I was grinning ear to ear. This was like the most exciting moment for me. I complimented her. She seemed really honored. I was just like, I'm obsessed with you. I think you're so amazing. She was like, oh my God, thank you so much. She was so cool. And then if you guys watch the show, Luke's character has a lot of anger issues, and Greg got to have like a moment with him talking about how much his journey has meant to him, and how much he appreciates him, which is really cool. This was going back me with my babe Brett, just absolutely just like in awe over the experience. It was just so crazy cool. Yeah, so that was really cool. And then we get to the last room with Ted and Krista. Krista, I was like, oh, we talked for, and she was like, oh yeah, blah, blah. And I was like, we wore twin outfits. She was like, oh yeah, our leather jackets are jeans, and I was like, oh, that's so cool that you remember that, or at least that you were able to pull that out somehow. Ted was really funny. They had a great dynamic. They were talking about how amazing that day was. They had currently filmed episode 8, and they said that there was like this unbelievable song choice for episode 8. That's the theme of the whole episode, and they couldn't tell us what it was, but just that it was insane and so moving, and that it had been a great day on set. So that was really, really cool. Oh, this is us with Jason. Ha ha. Everybody was like wanting to take pictures with us and just was so nice and friendly about it. So it was a really good dynamic. And then we finished the set tour. It was also really great to see all the sets in person, to see all their offices and be in them. We heard from Krista and Ted that when we went to theirs, that's not their office, it was their home, and that they were shooting there because they had originally shooted in Altadena, but I think that they had not been able to access the houses that they shoot at there because of the fires, and that they thought that they had burnt down, but that they are still standing. They just still can't access it, so they had to build the house set on studio. Just crazy how much that the fires affected, so devastating in so many worlds. So this was a group of people from season 2, because this is a for your consideration event for season 2, which means that it is all season 2 people. So we didn't get to see Michael J. Fox. We didn't get to see, there's a couple other people I know that have been announced, but none of them were there because this is all about season 2. Send in questions, comments, concerns, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. We went from there to the theater, and we got to watch a hour-long panel discussion moderated by Yvette Nicole Brown, who did the greatest job. She was like maybe the greatest moderator I've ever seen. I thought it was so phenomenal. She asked everybody really thoughtful, poignant questions. Harrison Ford brought the house down multiple times, making everybody laugh. Michael gave this speech about how his character's a narcissist, and he didn't realize he was a narcissist, and that in the show, everybody keeps calling him a narcissist. And on set, Bill Lawrence kept being like, oh, the improvise just a line, something narcissistic because you're such a narcissist. And Michael kept being like, why does everybody keep calling my character a narcissist? Because he didn't see it. And he was like, that's so funny because when you're in so deep, narcissists don't even know they're narcissists. And then out of the blue, Harrison Ford was just like, if you love playing a narcissist, imagine actually getting to be one. Like poking at himself. And he was like, being a narcissist is amazing. And everybody was dying laughing. He had so many one-liner mic drops. He literally dropped the mic at one moment because he said something so funny. Everybody was laughing so hard he dropped the mic. He was just on it. And really, really cool. It was just so interesting to spend so much time with these people that I love and respect, and get to actually ask them questions and then hear them give really thoughtful answers. And that was the event. Then they play an episode, but we've already seen the show, so Greg and I dipped out before that. I think they did such a hell of a job. So cool, so well thought out, and it just made me love the show even more. And I'm proud of myself that I got that moment, that after all this time of loving it and putting out content and talking about Apple, that they noticed me and they wanted me to be there as one of the creators. And then I got to pitch them Greg, and that they wanted him there too. It was just like, I felt so good about, all right, like some of the stuff that I talk about is heard and seen, and it's cool. It's cool that, like, you know, I'm not one of these huge people who has millions of followers. You know, this channel has 20,000 people. Real Rejects has 1.3 million. My socials have like 40,000 people. People have millions and millions of people, but they said to me, they were like, we saw how passionate you were about this. And I was like, I'm so passionate about television. I love TV more than anything. Like, TV is just my life. So it was really cool. That was very, very cool. And I was grateful. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. If you want to hear me keep talking about the thing I'm most passionate about on Sunday nights, which is television, then send in that support. Appreciate anybody who has so far, and everybody for just being here with me on this Sunday night. The Andor finale. I'm going to keep this brief unless you guys have questions about it. I liked 7, 8, and 9 the best out of the trilogies of the arcs. And then after that, this was the second best, but still it was majorly lacking Bix, who I love. I missed having more Bix. I thought that it would be interesting to watch Rogue One after this because I don't remember much about it, and I thought that that might even improve this experience. I loved Stellan Skarsgård in this 3-act. I thought that his character was amazing, and watching what happened and how Cassian deals with the aftermath of everything with him, I thought that was really interesting. And so I was super duper into the last trilogy, the last arc, and then this one I thought was pretty good. So definitely the back half of the show for me was so superior to the front half. And I finally kind of like saw what everybody was talking about. I just don't prefer this show to something like The Rehearsal or The Last of Us, but I still get it and liked it and think it's that there's a lot of value in this show. Those are kind of my thoughts. And I know that people get annoyed when you don't just like rave about Andor, but I don't have anything bad to say other than more Bix, please. And are we going to see more Bix in the future? Because I'd be into that for sure. I didn't watch The Rehearsal tonight yet. I will watch it and talk to you guys about it next week. That's what I've been doing. Last week's was absolutely cuckoo bananas with that kiss situation. What the fuck? Is this show legitimate? I don't know. I just don't know. Crazy. Speaking about television, let's see. Your Friends and Neighbors. Who's watching the John Hamm show? It's great. I think that was the finale I just saw. If not, it felt like a finale because we're in trouble. I won't give too many spoilers, but that's how it felt. I still haven't watched Poker Face. Steph really wants me to watch Deli Boys, so I'm going to watch that. And also on my list, Black Dove, Lioness. I did watch the Chelsea Handler special. I thought that was great. I think she's always so funny. It came out like a month or two ago, but I hadn't seen it yet. Mobland, excellent. Helen Mirren's best work ever. Is it crazy for me to say that? Is that crazy to say? Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. We are getting out of here relatively soon as we have been here for an hour and 22 minutes and it is getting late and I have to eat. Mike Joyce in the Streamlabs says, Roxy, Dorina pointed out to us that Brennan was in last week's episode of The Rehearsal. Did you notice him as well? Oh my God, dude. I saw that. I actually saw Dorina last night and Brennan. I forgot to bring that up on account of the fact that I was so stoned. I went to Mark Riley's 50th birthday last night. And everybody just kept passing me a J. And then all of a sudden I was like, I gotta go home. I am lit. I know that's not what this episode is about. And I'll tell more about that on Wednesday, but that was wacky. And I hadn't noticed Brendan in the episode. I'm so sad, but I saw her post and I was like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. That's hysterical. In the airport. He's like passed out. It's so wild as the camera pushes it on him. I'm so bummed I didn't notice it. I would have immediately texted. I guess I just wasn't looking for it. But yeah. Yes. It was nice to see a lot of people last night. Again, I'll tell you guys more about that on Wednesday. For this week, oh my God, Hacks. Sorry, before I go, Hacks is so good. Hacks is so good. Just when you think things are working out and then they're kind of not, and then she does something kind of evil, but it's like, is it really evil or was she intending it that way? And blah, blah, blah. Whoa. Hacks is a smarty party. If you are here and you're able to Streamlabs or Super Chat in, I so appreciate it. If you are not able to do it, or even if you are able to do it, just you being here means a lot to me, to all the 100 live viewers that are with us at 9 p.m. or later, depending on where you are tonight. Means everything. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. We are here Sundays doing TV talk. We are here on Wednesdays doing entertainment news, personal news, life news. The fact that our ex-president has cancer. the Palm Springs blowing up of the fertility clinic. So many things. So many things. In terms of television, thank you for reminding me, Sam. The studio doesn't miss. The CinemaCon episode was maybe the best of the season so far. Zoe Kravitz, hysterical. Everyone, I think Catherine Hahn is doing such great work in this too. Everybody is. What did I just drop? The show is so well shot. It's got an energy to it. It's exciting. I love episodes of TV and movies where people take too many drugs. So funny. And yeah, I would watch the show for 10 seasons. They get the best guest stars. It's all about the industry that I'm in. It's Seth crushes. Just yes, yes, all around. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. So much yes. All right, my friends. I will see you guys this week all over the place. Christian show on Tuesday. Definitely pop in Real Rejects, a lot of stuff this week. Wednesday, I'll be here with you guys. Friday, you'll see me on Only Stupid Answers. And I'll update you guys on my social, anything else that I'm doing. Other than that, stay safe, stay sane, put down the toilet seat and lid. We don't want those flumes. Don't turn with the Holocaust. Justice for all of the people who have lost their lives due to excessive force. My body, my choice. Wherever on the rainbow, we love you. We stand with the women of Iran, some of the bravest women we've ever seen. Golden sparkles for the Zen one himself, Glenn Caesar, thinking about you. Thinking about all you guys. Crazy times. Thank goodness for television, and thank goodness for community. Thanks for being mine. And I will see you guys all throughout the week and for the rest of time. Later. I hit my chin when I did pee. So lame.